Hey, it's Kat here, and today we're going to be making this beautiful stripy cardigan. I am so excited. As soon as I saw these in the shops, I wanted to make my own. So grab a tea or coffee and let's get into it. You will need some Aran weight yarn in cream and black and a 6mm hook and some scissors, and I'll link all these below. This will make a medium-sized cardigan. We're going to start with a slip knot. And starting with the back panel, we are going to chain 48. All right, so we have our chain of 48. Now starting in the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to make a double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over again and pull through, and yarn over again and pull through those two. And this outside chain counts as the first stitch, and we're going to do 45 double crochets in total. So you're going along this line here, and you're going to do a double crochet in every single stitch along. And this is your first row. Okay, so now I'm at the end of row 1 and we should have 46 stitches including our turning chain, so 45 double crochets. And now we're just going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then turn, and then do another 45 double crochets. At the end of row 2, we are going to switch yarns. So I haven't done my last stitch yet, but I'm going to do my last double crochet in this chain here. How I do the switch is I'm going to do kind of half of the double crochet. So pull through 2, but don't pull through the last 2 yet. And then I'm going to take my yarn 2, pop it on my hook, and pull through those 2 with the yarn 2. And now you are ready to do your row 3 just with yarn 2. Now I am going to cut yarn 1, which may be a little bit controversial, but I don't want it kind of coming with me all the way across the row. So I'm going to cut that. And you're going to be doing this every time you switch. I just found it was the best looking way to do it. So now you're going to chain 3 like you did before. 1, 2, 3, turn, and then carry on like you were before, but with yarn 2. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to double crochet 45 all across this row. And this will give you a lovely line. Now I'm coming to the end of row 3 and I'm going to switch yarns just like I did before. So I'm going to grab that and then drop that yarn, pick this one up and pull through. And then you're ready to go with the next row. And I'm going to repeat rows 1 to 3 until I have 30 rows. So the last row will be yarn 2. Now we have 30 rows and our back panel is complete. I've just fastened off the end at the top and this is what it should look like. We can move now on to our front panels. Now the back is done, we're going to start on the front panels, and these are exactly the same as the back, but we are going to make them shorter, so about half. So instead of chaining 48, we're going to chain 26. So slip knot as usual, and then chain 26. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have our chain of 26. We're going to start in the 4th chain from the hook and double crochet exactly as before. So we're going to grab the yarn over, go into that 4th chain from the hook, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 and pull through another 2. So you have your first kind of stitches. This counts as a stitch and this is the second stitch. And we're going to double crochet all the way to the end exactly as before. Lovely, so when you get to the end of row 1 on your front panels, you will have double crocheted 23 and this chain will act as another stitch. So you're going to have 24 stitches in total. Then we're going to do exactly the same thing as we did before and chain 3, 1, 2, 3. This counts as your first stitch as usual, and then you're going to yarn over and go into this stitch here, pull up a loop and double crochet as before, and I'll meet you when you're at the end of the row. On the last stitch of row 2, you're going to incorporate your yarn 2. So we're going to just pull that through these next 2 loops and you're ready to start on row 3. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3 and turn, and then carry on along here until you get all the way to the end using your double crochets as usual. And obviously you need to chop the other yarn, which I'll do in a minute. This is exactly what you're going to do for another 21 rows. So you need to repeat these 3 rows 7 times, exactly like this. And I'll meet you back here when you're on row 21. And you should have finished with yarn 2, so this yarn. Excellent, so excited because we're now on row 21 and we're halfway through the last stitch and you know what to do. Change and grab yarn 1 and we're going to then chain 3, and with this row we're going to start the decrease for our neckline. So row 22 will be yarn 1 and we're going to double crochet 23 as usual, but we are not going to chain 3 at the end, so I'll show you in a minute. So go exactly as you would before, or exactly as you were doing before, and I will meet you at the end of this row. We're at the end of row 22 and we are going to chain 1 and turn. For row 23 we're going to slip stitch 3 times along the row in the next 3 stitches. So the next stitch is here and I'm going to pull through, yarn over and pull through it and then pull through that stitch, the next stitch and the next stitch. And when we get to here we are now going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then double crochet 19. So I'll meet you when you get to the end. Row 24 is going to be with yarn 2, so end of row 23 we're going to switch and chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then turn and double crochet 17. So I hope you're still with me. End of row 24, switching yarns. Not much longer to go, I promise. And we're going to switch and then chain 3. 1, 2, 3, turn, instead of going into kind of like the next stitch, we're going to go into that next stitch, so you're making more of a thing of that decrease. Okay, so instead of going to this one, you're going to that one, and we will double crochet 16 in total. So 1, 2, 3. All right, so at the end of this row, we have just double crocheted 16, and we're going to chain 3, no switching. 1, 2, 3. Going into row 26, and we are going to double crochet 14. Row 27, we're going to switch. Nearly done. And then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and turn. Decrease like this. Into 2. So it's almost like that is one stitch. So we're going to double crochet 13, but the first stitch is going to be a kind of decrease stitch that is in the pattern. And that just makes sure there's no kind of gapping. Don't forget, we're not decreasing down this side at all, so that should be nice and straight. Oh my god, 3 rows to go. It's looking fab. So now we're going to switch. Whoops. Right, row 28, we are switching. And then we are going to chain 1, 2, 3. Turn. And double crochet all the way along. Okay, row 28, DC 12. No switching. Row 29, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn. And you can see our decrease here, which looks fabulous. All right, so row 29, chain 3, and then you're going to do another decrease stitch. Okay, so you're going into the first, don't like yarn over or anything. This is going to be your kind of double crochet on the side. So we're going 1, 2, and then pull through and pull through. And that's like your decreasey stitch, kind of where your shoulders are, you know? Okay, just carry on. Carry on until the end, and then we'll switch for the final time. Amazing if you made it this far, well done. Row 30, so excited. Oh my gosh, right, switch, final switch, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn for the final time, and all you're going to do is no decrease or anything, you're just going to double crochet 10. Excellent, so we've finished one of our front panels, and when you line it up to the back, it should be exactly the same length. And you have 30 rows for each one. And now you've just got to do this one more time and you'll have 2 panels. Yay, we now have 2 front panels. Okay, so now I'm going to line them up. And if you want to, you can crochet them on to your front. And they should have a little bit of a gap in between, because that's where you're going to put your kind of front bit. Okay, so now because I am an avid crocheter and I crochet wherever possible, I'm actually going to join these using crochet, which means there's 10 stitches at the top of each shoulder. So I'm going to line this up with the back, and I'm going to just get the loop of the crochet and hook it through the 10th stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that 10th stitch, I'm going to go through from the back and grab that loop, pull it through. Okay, that's the base of our seam. And now I'm going to just pull through that loop to secure it. And I'm going to go through that same stitch, pull up a loop and then pull through. So single crocheting along here. So if you go through both of those stitches at the top, and then I'm just going to slip stitch all the way along, making sure you don't make it too tight because then it will kind of scrunch up. And you don't want that. So I'm just slipping all the way along here, and it should provide a nice seam. So when we turn it inside out, this will be a nice neat seam inside. And that's obviously 10 stitches along. That's a nice kind of strong seam, and you can see on the other side, it's just like that at the top. So that's going to be the outside. So we're just going to do that on the other side as well, and then we're going to sew up the sides. All right, so I'm going to use yarn 1 to sew this up. Just making sure that the material's lined up. Thread the needle and line these two up. And then that is not going anywhere. There we go. And then literally it's going to be lined up. So you want to just go through everything, every stitch. Making sure that your stitches are lined up. And this is the inside, remember. So you want your little tails to be this way. So it's going to look quite messy from where you're looking, but when you turn it inside out, it should look really, really good. So I'm going to do this up to the underarms. So I'm just going to sew all the way up to about there on both sides. Now for the waistband. We will need yarn 2 and we're going to chain 6. For row 1, we're going to slip stitch 5 and we'll carry this on until our waistband is long enough to fit around the bottom of the cardigan. So we're going to go in, pull through and then pull through. So that's 1 slip stitch, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that's row 1 done, and then you're going to chain 1, turn, and then go into the back loop only and do exactly the same thing. So we're going through each stitch with a slip stitch. That's row 2. Chain 1, turn and do this for about 80 rows or until your waistband is as long as the bottom of your cardigan. What I like to do is leave a little bit of room at the end so you can crochet if you need to a little bit more when you sew it onto the bottom of the cardigan. To sew on the waistband, I'm going to make sure the cardigan is inside out so that you can see the tassels, and line up the start of the waistband with one side. So this is where I started the waistband, and I'm going to line it up with the bottom of the cardigan here. And then I'm going to use a darning needle to sew the waistband on, just like this. So I'm going to go through and through. And what I like to do is just put a little knot in there so it doesn't go anywhere. I'm hoping. And then kind of hold them together. Using the mattress stitch, just go through again. And when I do this, I want to just stretch the waistband a little bit. And I'm just going to continue this all the way around. If you don't stretch it, then your waistband can end up a little bit kind of blocky and not flattering. So you want to stretch it a little bit, and that's what these stitches are for. For the arms, we will start off exactly the same as we did for the waistband. So I'm going to chain 6, and then I'm going to slip stitch 5 stitches along each row until we have about 24 rows. We will then hold the edges together to form a ring, and then slip stitch 5 times along this seam. Okay, so this is going to be the cuff. So we've got 1. So we're slip stitching like we were before, but kind of slip stitching the ends together. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right, then because this seam is inside, we're going to just take this off and turn this inside out, because we're going to be working from the outside, or from the right way out. Now I'm going to drop this yarn. I'm not going to cut it or anything, but I'm just going to drop it, and then I'm going to start row 1 with yarn 1. So this is probably the trickiest row because there's no clear stitches around this. So I'm going to slip stitch like we did before when you join your new yarn, and then I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And because there's 24 around, this counts as 1 stitch. We're going to then double crochet all the way around, and we're going to double crochet 23, and this will be the 24th stitch. Okay, and because you've done 24 stitches for the cuff, you should then end up with 24 stitches around. Alright, so now we have 24 stitches. We're going to slip stitch into the top of this first into the chain, and again chain 3, and you're going to be doing the same effect as you did for your body, but you're going to keep the yarns working. Okay, so we've dropped this one, we're going to do another row of yarn 1, and then we're going to pick up yarn 2 again. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do 24 double crochets all the way around. And when we've done that, we're going to pick up yarn 2, do a row of that. So that will be our first 3 rows. And then we're going to do this and repeat until we get to row 9, when we're going to start increasing Okay, so on row 9, we are going to chain 3 like normal with our yarn 2, and then in the next stitch, we're going to double crochet as usual, but instead of crocheting 1, we're going to double crochet 2 in this stitch here. So double crocheting 2 together, and that is the start of our increase, and it'll make it wider as it goes up the arm. Then we're going to double crochet another 10. 1, 2, 3, 9, and 10. And then in the next one, we're going to do exactly the same when we put those 2 together. So the next stitch, we'll double crochet 2 together. So we're increasing by 2 in this round, and then double crochet all the way till the end. I'm at the end of row 9, and I'm now going to slip stitch the next colour through. So I'm going to go back to yarn 1, and drop yarn 2, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're just going to double crochet 26 stitches around. And you're going to do this increase every other round. So we've increased in row 9, in row 10 we're just going to double crochet all the way around. Then we're going to increase in row 11, exactly like we did in row 9, and you're going to increase every other round until you get to row 17. Okay, so let's do a round of double crochet. We've done row 10, this is row 11. We're going to increase again. So slip stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then double crochet 2 together in that first stitch. 1 and 2. And then we're going to double crochet 11. So 1, 2, 3. So you see what we're doing is we're increasing on the first stitch and kind of the middle stitch of the round every other round. Doesn't even have to be exactly 11, but I just did that in the pattern, as long as you're kind of spacing them out. Eight, 9, 10, and then that's 11. So the next one we're going to double crochet 2 together in that same stitch. 1 and 2, and then carry on around. So that's 11, and the next round is going to be all just double crochet. So you're going to basically just increase every other round until you get to round 17, and that will be your last increase. Onto row 12. Double crochet all the way around. Row 13 we're increasing, so we're doing 2 stitches in the first stitch. 1, 2, and then 2 stitches about halfway round. Row 14 is yarn 1, double crochet all the way around. Row 15 is another increase with yarn 2. So 2 stitches in the first, and then carry on with 1 double crochet in each stitch until you reach about halfway round, and then you're going to double crochet 2 together when you get to about halfway. Should end up in this round with 32 stitches in total. Row 16 is going to be 32 stitches all the way around, and this is our first stitch, so we're going to double crochet 31. Row 17 we're going to increase again, so double crochet in the first stitch twice, and then double crochet 2 together halfway round. This is where it's going to change a little bit, so row 18 and 19 are both going to be double crochet all the way around, 34 stitches, no increase. Round 20 is our last increase, and then we are going to double crochet the same from row 21 all the way up. So this is row 20, and we've got double crochet 2 together, and then we're going to do another one in the middle here, and you should have at the end of this 36 stitches in total, including the chain. Right, we've done row 20, and now we are going to do row 21 to 29, and it's going to be chain 3 and then double crochet 35, so you'll have 36 stitches in total. Right, so this is what 29 to 30 rounds looks like. If you want 29, then just don't do this 30th round, but I have quite long arms, so I'm going to leave it like that. You can take a couple of these off if you have shorter arms. Then you're going to do this all over again, so you're going to do that again, and you will have your 2 arms. And now we are going to be sewing them onto the body. I'm just going to take this off, and then I'm going to weave in the ends. Inside, the black part should kind of just go along the seam like that, which is absolutely fine. And we're just going to whip that out like that. And that should be okay to weave in here. Right, so to sew on the arms, we're going to make sure that all of our work is inside out. So we can see that this is the inside seam, and we're going to turn our arm inside out as well. We're going to line up the arm with the gap. Now, I have got some yarn that I kind of unfinished when I was sewing this up, so I'm going to put this straight onto the arm and then carry on sewing it. Just make sure you don't get your yarn muddled up. You can kind of cut these a little bit shorter so you don't get anything muddled up. So these are all going on the inside, so you don't have to worry about these. They're all tied up as well. So the only longish piece is going to be the piece that you are going to use your darning needle for. So I'm going to get the needle. For the button band, I started single crocheting all the way around and I slip stitched over any peaks to even the line out. When I got to the corners of the neckline, I put in a few double crochets in each corner. Then I spaced out the buttons on the left side. I have counted about 48 stitches up to the neck and I have 4 buttons, so I'm going to space them out evenly. I replaced them with stitch markers so I could tell where the buttons were going. Then single crocheted a second row, and when I got to the third row, I added my buttonholes on the right side. The buttons are all placed in the middle of the thick white lines, so between the 2 rows of white, there is going to be a buttonhole. I made these by chaining 2 every time I got to the place where a button will be, which was the middle of those 2 rows. Then I carried on with rows 4 and 5 and then slip stitched all the way around to finish off the button band. I then sewed the buttons on with the tapestry needle and voila, the cardigan is finished. And there we are, the finished cardigan. I can't believe it. I can't believe I got to the end of it. If you've come this far with me, well done. I love it. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, that would really make my day. And if you want to see how to embroider a name on the front of a sweater using the chain stitch, then you can watch that here in this video. I'll see you there.